I've been wanting to create a video centered around my favorite content creators for quite a while now. YouTube provides an incredibly vast range of content, most of which is quite awful, but that's inevitable as the awful but relevant content is usually favored by the masses. And most smaller creators are bound to follow whatever's popular no matter how low the quality is. Which is why when I discover a channel that provides actual quality content or is attempting to achieve something more significant than simply gaining as much views as possible through shallow tactics, it feels so refreshing and even more so rewarding. Well, sometime at the beginning of 2017 I discovered a channel that provides both of those aspects. Nicely produced, high quality content that carries an important message which should and will influence people all over the world. I'm talking of course about SBSK. This wonderful channel was started by Chris Ulmer, who at first was just posting some videos from his special needs classes documenting the progress of certain students.
Would you like me to check for accuracy?
Yeah!
At around this time, he was also compiling interviews with his students which explained life from their unique perspectives, clearly spawning some fascinating stories, as he wanted to publish a series of books called Special Books by Special Kids, with the aim of changing the world's general view on disability, a goal that I myself want to achieve as well through the art of film. But of course, as always, there are naysayers, people who doubt the power of passion propelling uncommon ideas onto this very tightly structured world. So just like anyone who has a passion and wasn't born into a rich and all-supporting household, Chris was told that his idea wasn't realistic, that people wouldn't care and the books wouldn't sell. Fortunately though, there is always a silver lining with things like this. So the rejection of the books birthed the incredible reimagining of the channel. With his wonderful partner Alyssa helping behind the scenes, Chris stuck with the same concept but simply changed the format to audiovisual interviews, which I am incredibly thankful for because the book probably would have never reached me, as I don't really read books. I do watch all types of audiovisual content though, and I absolutely love watching interviews. Not just for the sake of insight on a given topic, but for a chance to delve into someone's mind, someone's personal ideas and opinions, essentially learning about a person that I would love to meet in real life, but never might. And similarly like DP30, SBSK provides some great interviews with people that I never knew I'd want to meet. These aren't just generic interviews though. As far as the approach and format goes, they are very good interviews. But what makes them special is their message. Normalizing disability. Showcasing all these wonderful people that happen to be different in one way or another, but proving that these differentiating traits or aspects don't define them. They can often add to their personality and character, but the fact that one person has cerebral palsy or another has a physical disfigurement of some kind should never be the main focus when getting to know someone or when engaging in a conversation that isn't about the topic of disability. Obviously I can't speak for everyone, but from what I've learned in real life as well as from personal accounts I've read, it seems that the majority of disabled people hate receiving sympathy on their first encounters with someone else, or just in general. Most of these videos are driving that point home and they couldn't have been executed any better. Having a disabled person saying they hate unwarranted sympathy in front of a camera is just perfect for all the simple-minded normies.
When you push hard for you waste your time. And you waste your time. We don't have time for pity. We have so much work to do.
If you're at a grocery store, would you prefer for people to talk to you or for you just to mind your business and do your thing?
I think it depends on the situation. I think it depends on the situation. If it's a casual, how are you? That's a regular contact. I don't want you to go out your way to talk to me because I'm in the wheelchair.
So what you're saying is treat you just like any other person.
Yeah, that's all I ask.
By the way, don't let the word kids in the name Special Books by Special Kids misguide you. The name mainly refers to the beginnings of this project, which at the time was consisting of interviews with kids only. but has since broadened to all ages. In fact, this project is all about being broad, not only in the sense of discovering and getting to know all types of people, but also in terms of expanding all across the world, which will help immensely in spreading the wonderful message of acceptance. I was feeling ecstatic when I found out Chris would be touring the UK, even if just for the small hope of him getting to interview Adam Pearson, who I've always been interested in ever since I saw him appear on British TV, and who I loved in the film Under the Skin. And wouldn't you know it, he actually did interview him.
What's your opinion of PC culture?
It's originally a good thing. It's been taken ridiculously too far. And I'm not saying deliberately go out of your way to offend people, but the more eggshells you put down for people to tread on, the harder it's going to be to communicate. And equality issues are really important and should be discussed. And the more words you ban, the harder it becomes to discuss them.
What would it take for someone to offend you?
You would have to, like, punch my mother in front of me to offend me. Like, outside of that, we're good. You can irritate me. That's quite easy to do. You can put your luggage in the aisle on the train, and that'll like spin me out. But there's a luggage rack. Put it there.
Apart from getting to know all these great people, who genuinely do seem great, and on a rare occasion seeing a familiar face I'm excited about getting to know more, SBSK has also introduced me to some pretty compelling artists. Recently, for example, Lee, a stand-up comedian who not only comes across as refreshingly honest, but also provides PG-13 rated comedy that's actually funny, which is quite the accomplishment in my eyes.
As you may be able to tell, I'm a struggling stand-up comedian who also struggles to stand up. To be honest, I'm not sure which I am worst at. I'll leave that for you to decide. But, just so you know, if you don't laugh at the disabled guy, you are going to hell. I have lived in Newcastle all my life, but for some reason, I still haven't picked up the accent. However, if you are trying to place my accent, it's from PC World.
A definite stylistic trait of these videos that has been there since the beginning and still continues are the subtitles. Using a nicely fitting font that doesn't get in the way of things, and a nice rounded orange outline to embrace those positive vibes even more. The implementation of these subtitles is great, allowing deaf people to experience these videos because Chris is that much of a great guy and considers everyone. For other people they can also be very useful, as certain dialects may be harder to understand. Not necessarily due to a disability, but you know, different people, different tastes and adjustments. This of course ensures that everyone is included and that everyone has their voice heard, which ties into the theme of this channel wonderfully. In regards to the beginnings of this project, another distinctive factor of these videos was their short running time, usually lasting between 1 and 3 minutes, which is both a positive and negative thing. The positive side is that it makes them more accessible to a general audience. A lot of people tend to think longer videos seem daunting, especially if they're from a channel they're not familiar with. Therefore, the short length of these videos makes them appear more welcoming to a general audience, or perhaps even people that think this sort of content isn't worth their time, and thus enticing even more people to watch, effectively spreading the message further, which seems to be the main goal of this channel. Unfortunately, the negative side of this is that some of the videos feel too condensed. Personally, I fell in love with almost every personality that shines through on this channel, and it just makes me want to learn about them more. Each video spends enough time on showcasing the unique nature of someone, and thus will adequately educate the regular person on accepting and normalizing disability, which is great because the content achieves what it aims for. However, it always leaves me wanting more. I crave to see more interaction, to hear more captivating conversations, to experience more of their unique beauty, to watch more conventional tasks be achieved in an unconventional manner successfully. But if the main flaw of this channel was the fact that it always left me wanting more, it just signifies how amazing and enjoyable it is. That silver-lined flaw has been dealt with though, as the interviews have now expanded in length. The positive aspects of the short-form content still apply though, as the channel has seen an exponential growth in views on all their videos. A lot of these interviews explore the concept of feeling sorry based on initial judgments. It is a natural human instinct, emphasis on human here, psychopaths won't be able to relate. An unconventional physical appearance that seems to create difficulty, either in human relations and interactions or in basic daily tasks, triggers a sympathetic reaction within most people, which in turn forms somewhat unnatural and thus seemingly less genuine interactions. Oh no, that poor girl, I need to be overly nice to her to the point where it comes across as fake and forced, which will probably make her feel uncomfortable as I'm essentially treating her like a little child. Would you like to be treated like that? Now, of course I'm not crossing out the concept of different behavior towards different people. Obviously basic cultural and social engineering falls into place. All factors such as age, gender and ethnic background come into play. However, generally speaking, we live in a progressive modern society in which these factors are not much of an issue anymore. Obviously something like racial discrimination is still a problem actively being battled. But the topic of discrimination based on disability, in my opinion, is criminally overlooked. This is a topic that is always worth shining a light on. Not just for bigots or simply people who aren't aware, but I would say especially for children not being exposed to difference early on. Because usually, kids like to ridicule whatever doesn't fit within their prism of norms. I'd like to believe that people aren't just born as discriminatory assholes, but that they lack the necessary awareness. This is why the purpose of SBSK raising awareness is so necessary, and why I am so pleased about the rise and growth of this channel.
Do people believe your diagnosis affects your cognitive ability?
All the time. Not when a street person in the street and say talk to them about your age and see the wheelchair, but it doesn't mean that you're in a wheelchair, it doesn't mean that you're stupid. So what the medication's like, hi sweetheart, I'm not me. You know, I'm 17, I can advocate to myself.
The overall lack of awareness or just unwarranted levels of plain depravity are huge problems nowadays. People who are sensitive to controversial use of specific words are more than likely aware of the word retarded being thrown around carelessly in a negative manner. But do you know how bad this kind of thing is in other parts of the world? I originate from and currently live in Poland, and unfortunately Down syndrome is very commonly used as an insult here. Which is far worse than retarded, as it targets a specific group of people, whereas retardation, which is a general term, can refer to any diagnosis and doesn't specifically target people with cerebral palsy, for example. There's a similar case with the word autism, as that has become a very popular insult in recent times. But that's more arguable and generally more of a sensitive term, despite there being a lot of types of autism. In my opinion, everyone has some sort of autism within. I definitely see links to it with my selective OCD, for example. However, in an ideal world, terms such as retarded, challenged, or special shouldn't be perceived as negative. The use of Down syndrome as an insult in Poland was, and still is, popular with younger people. But a lot of people that I grew up with, or simply people that are in their 20s now, still continue doing this. They've entered adulthood and still think this is normal. So, I think you know where I'm coming from. The message of acceptance and teaching people to diverge from close-minded thinking aren't the only influential components being provided. There are also interviews that share tragic yet beautiful stories. And if you know me, then you should know I'm a sucker for tragic yet beautiful stories. Now, I'm not just bringing up these films for the sake of letting you know that I love them. These films have taught me very important values that essentially made me a better person. And these interviews are no different. People should watch these not just for the heartbreaking experience, but for the heartfelt enlightenment that just might make you appreciate the important people in your life more. The people that may have their time on this earth cut short, but nonetheless manage to have a bigger impact than anyone could have ever imagined.
Some people take just a smile for granted, and he didn't start smiling until he was like 9 months. And so that's what Yeah, she gotta have a spasm there. Yeah.
How long do they last for?
About 2 minutes.
Okay.
To see him smile just makes my day. And it's just a smile, but to like someone else, he may be like, well, it's just a smile. No, to me, that's everything.
Is there anything I can do to better accommodate him while he does?
You can just lay him, just lay him flat
Okay.
and hold on to him. Just talk to him, let him know it's okay, Kai. It's all right, buddy.
We're here for you, Kymir.
So I just don't want people to take small things for granted because, people have the ability to walk, people have the ability to talk, and he doesn't yet. Now, like, you see him start to smiling, but he used to cry. Like, he used to cry real bad after it, but now he just smiled his way through it.
You're adapting, young man. You're strong, you keep going.
Yes.
You're making the most out of your life, for sure.
The interviews that include nonverbal communication showcase, at least to me, a more pure transfer of emotions and feelings. Whether their reactions are subtle or outgoing, they come across as entirely genuine, making the heartwarming experience of watching these interactions unfold truly profound. What makes me love all of this even more is the fact that Chris returns to his previous friends for more interviews, signifying that he doesn't take the privilege of calling all these people friends for granted, and that he's not exploiting it to add an additional element of cuteness to the format. I wanted to provide some more clips here at the end from my favorite interviews, but when I started rewatching all of the videos, I realized that all of them are special in their own way, and that it's just way too hard to handpick my absolute favorite clips to form a short montage. If I were to do this, then the montage certainly wouldn't be short, as my video would probably stack up to at least an hour in length. And besides, I think it's best to just experience each interview as a whole. SBSK is undoubtedly one of my favorite YouTube channels, and by one of, I mean it has a solid placement in my top 3, which is unusual because the other two I've been watching for over 10 years, and I only discovered SBSK last year. But it has had such a powerful effect on me and still continues to affect me as well as the rest of the world. Given its positive ambition and the progressive impact it has achieved in such a short amount of time, I can confidently call it the best channel on YouTube.